Hey everyone, my name is Zach. I'm a 23-year-old competitive boulderer from Canada, currently living in Montreal. Welcome back to the COMPCLIMB training series, where I record most of my training, provide in-depth analysis of every session, and just chat about climbing with an emphasis on competition. So we are finally home. It has been a long time. Maddie and I have been on the road traveling from like 6 different countries for about a month now, maybe even a little bit longer. And holy cow, has it been exhausting. And in hindsight, we realized that we kind of made it extra hard for ourselves. Like if we were to do, go travel for 2 World Cups again, like next season, we got to just be careful with the travel because it really adds up and it really, really takes a toll. And what I mean by this is we basically added like 3 extra countries or something, right? We didn't actually need to go to Germany. We could have just trained in Prague before the Prague World Cup. We didn't need to go to London, but of course that was for some fun, special reasons. So that was always going to happen. We also didn't need to go to Tokyo. Seoul is got some epic gyms as well, and B-Pump is fun, but the extra travel was really, really tiring. So yeah, like we added a whole lot of traveling onto our agenda. And honestly, it was so exhausting that I felt myself starting to lose my form and lose my shape. And as the month went on, I definitely felt like my performance was deteriorating and I wasn't necessarily the same climber that I was when I left Montreal. So yeah, definitely some like learning experiences with the traveling, and some really good learning experiences going into next season in particular. And so what I mean by that as well is, I should mention now, so my result in Prague was actually pretty decent, especially in terms of like Canadian ranking points. I was kind of like, I think I finished 1 or 2 positions above an important threshold when it comes to like point allocation for World Cup events in terms of the Canadian national ranking and World Cup team selection. So I basically just barely hit the threshold to get like a massive amount of points actually. And so what this did is it actually moved me into 3rd place in the Canadian ranking. And after an event that's coming up in about a month as well, there's a really good chance that I'm actually going to move up into 2nd in the Canadian ranking. So this is important. First of all, being in 3rd right now is actually making it extremely likely that I could do the entirety of the next World Cup season if I wanted to. So next season, there are going to be 6 World Cups and 1 World Championships. And the Team Canada is going to have 3 spots for men. So if I'm ranked in 3rd right now, as of now, I could do any World Cup that I wanted to, right? Because I'm on the World Cup team. Now the rankings are able to change and fluctuate a bit, but the long story short is my 3rd place is actually pretty secure right now. And there's only one event that can really mix it up. And that event is the Pan American Championships. That's going to happen in a month. So this event is also worth some pretty good points. And if I was going to not go to it, it would allow for someone else in the Canadian ranking to potentially pass me. But if I go to the Pan American Championships and do like semi-decently, there's actually a very good chance that I can move into 2nd place, which would make it even like almost like a guarantee that I could do the entire World Cup season next year, which would be really, really awesome. I've never had that chance. I've never been able to do a whole season of World Cups. So that's definitely something that I'm motivated to try and achieve and actually go do. So that means, yeah, I guess I haven't necessarily said this yet, but the plan is to go do this Pan American Championships that's happening on November 20th or something like this. And it's taking place in Santiago, Chile. So yeah, I was actually going back and forth about doing this event. The biggest reason for this actually You know what? No, I'll say this for the end of the episode. So I'll say this now as well. At the end of the episode, I'm going to do like a big program breakdown. And not only that, but I want to talk about some plans going into the next season and the next year of training and competing. We got lots of big plans, lots of fun, awesome ideas. And I want to do just like a big dump of information at the end of this episode. But yeah, like what I'll do is I'll talk about the training program, but I'll also talk about how I'm feeling after the World Cups that we just went and did. Like I said in the last episode, which was the Seoul World Cup video, I have lots of thoughts and reflections in terms of the World Cup and what I want to switch up going into next year. And yeah, I'll talk about all these things at the end of the episode. The gist of it, though, for those who don't want to watch the program breakdown and the plans that I'm going to talk about later, the gist of it is that the World Cups definitely beat me down a bit. My results were, the Prague result was okay. The Seoul result, it's funny, it was actually better in terms of placement, 39th at Seoul and 41st in Prague. But I actually performed much worse in Seoul. The scorecard was worse. The performance overall was worse. And that one felt like a real beatdown. So basically, yeah, I'm like, even though it was a massive beatdown at these World Cups overall, I'm actually extremely motivated after them, which is nice. I was worried going into these World Cups that if I did get a beatdown, that I would kind of be demoralized actually. And that's what's happened in the past when I've done World Cups and done badly. But actually, I don't know what it is, but I'm actually getting really psyched to push my level. And the World Cups motivated me to try and get a lot better and really, really push my limits. So this is cool. And this is the gist of what I'm going to talk about at the end of the episode. And because of this new motivation, and the opportunity to like 90% is looking 90% like I'm going to get an entire World Cup season next year. Because this is such an awesome opportunity, I'm going to really take the training to the next freaking level. Like I train hard, right? You see all my training. It's a lot. It's good. I train hard, but I haven't been putting everything that I possibly can into it yet. And that's basically the plan going forward. I'm going to train as well as I possibly can for the next season of World Cups. And I want to see exactly what I'm capable of. I know that Prague and Seoul is not my best performance whatsoever, and I'm capable of more. And I'm going to train even harder. So where we're at right now is we just got back from our big trip. And in a week, we have a really, really awesome, fun competition happening. So I'm sure I've mentioned this, maybe I haven't actually, but the competition that's happening this weekend is the Bloc Championships. So this is Block's epic, awesome annual comp that they do every year. And the extra special thing about this competition, like this edition of it, is that Bloc is opening another gym. For those who do not know, Bloc 2's grand opening is going to be the Bloc Championships. And now, the Bloc 2 is going to be the gym in the country. It is going to be the mega center for bouldering. This gym has everything you could ever want in a bouldering facility. And I am getting so psyched for this place to open, let alone to do the comp, which is going to be super epic and awesome. So basically where we are right now is we have like about a week to just try and get some volume in, start moving well on the wall, and get the body feeling pretty good after all of the exhausting travel. And yeah, like we have about 4 training days or something to just feel like nice and good for the Bloc Championships. And then after the Bloc Championships, the training is going to switch up a lot. So, like I said, I'll do a big program breakdown at the end of this episode, talking about the training in detail and and just outlining everything. But the gist of the training is that we need to get stronger. That's the biggest takeaway of mine from the World Cups, honestly. My movement skills and instincts and beta and body positioning has leveled up a lot over the past couple years, especially living in Montreal and living in Germany. But honestly, I've kind of not been as intentional and maximizing the strength training aspect of climbing, and definitely not to the point of trying to be world class. And honestly, the instances in the World Cups where I was like really failing and just not being able to do boulders wasn't because of movement skills or not being able to get into a body position. It was actually simply that I couldn't hold onto a hold. I just was not strong enough. It's been a long time since I've done the World Cups, and I kind of lost touch with just how physically difficult these boulders are and how strong you need to be. So basically the biggest change with the training going forward is we're going to try and get really, really strong going into the next season of World Cups. And I want to really, really push my level. So the training is going to look a little bit different because of this. And like I said, I'll go into the specifics at the end of the episode. But like one thing I'll mention, just right off the bat, like you may have already noticed, like when we looked at the calendar at the beginning, like during our little transition, when we have the program outlined for the day, we have like one of the elements of training that will switch up is sort of the intention and the focus of the boulder sessions. For example, like right now, what I'm doing on this first day of training are 2 sessions of bouldering. The abbreviation is BVV. We're doing 2 BVV sessions. So this stands for bouldering, variety and volume. So this is sort of what I do with most of my boulder sessions, especially in recent times, and kind of just naturally works, especially for YouTube. It's just fun to get a lot of different variety of boulders in and not necessarily just project, 2 boulders and then a whole YouTube episode is just me climbing on 2 boulders. So anyway, I've been letting the YouTube really influence my training sessions, I've realized, I think. And so one thing I'm going to be intentional of going forward is like what a session is of bouldering, and not just letting it be me going around and doing a bunch of boulders, some of which are too easy, actually. Like I think what I've been realizing in the past couple months is I've been training on boulders that are just a bit too easy when we're trying to train for World Cup level boulders, right? But that being said, doing a wide variety and volume of boulders is still important training. It's really good to train your instincts to be able to figure out boulders on the fly, and getting as much data into the system as possible is the best way to train this. So basically, we just have to dedicate certain sessions to being volume and variety sessions, and then certain sessions to trying really, really hard boulders. But yeah, we'll talk about this more later. For now, let's focus on this epic boulder that we're trying. So this one is by Chris. We all know Chris is an awesome setter at Bloc, and he loves to just push the limits of what the human body can physically do between slopers and just campusing and paddling through them. So this is his latest creation, and this thing is crazy. This is like the full tornado campus move, and he really nailed this one. Like, holy cow, did he have an imagination that he just brought to reality. There is no way to break this boulder, I swear. At least not one that is easier than doing this full rotation. Like, maybe you could stop on the paddle crimp and just hold like a shouldery move, but it's just easier to fall into the jug actually and continue the whole move. So this one was super, super awesome, and he really nailed it, and it was fun. I didn't rehearse standing though, so I kind of chuffed it when I got up there. I didn't know what to expect. But you'll see that I'm actually going to walk away from this boulder after dropping the finish, which isn't very typical for me, is it? Usually I will just be unsatisfied and want to put my stamp on a boulder and claim a proper send of it. But this is another element that's going to switch up in the training going forward. It's not necessarily optimal for me to keep trying that boulder. I've already got the value from it, right? I learned the first move. I understand it well. There's no need for me to just rep out that boulder until I actually send it, because I'm actually wasting valuable time where I could be trying other boulders and learning more things and inputting more data into my system and my supercomputer climber brain, right? And so this is also where this World Cup motivation is coming from. I'm going to start being intentional in our boulder sessions to focus on sending less. And I've noticed myself in recent months getting too caught up in just wanting to send boulders for the sake of it. And it's not necessarily optimal for training. So, especially during our volume and variety sessions, if I have an instance like that where I drop a finish of a boulder, that's me getting the value from that boulder, and I need to just walk away because I am just going to be doing everything I possibly can in these boulder sessions to get the most value from them and just start pushing my limits as much as I can. So yeah, one of the biggest factors that's going to be important is to not trying to be sending every boulder just because it's satisfying. And I'm going to be focused on actually training and actually getting better. So yeah, especially like I said, in the bouldering volume and variety sessions. And we have like some other dedicated styles of sessions. We'll still be doing our boulder max force. We're going to start training on a spray wall more. Another big element of the training is I'm going to be going really, really hard with our hangboard and our fingerboard. And it's been a long time since I've tried to push the level of my grip strength like super hard. So that's another element of the training that we're going to start doing. Because like I said, I just need to get really, really strong. And then one thing I'll also mention now before I forget as well is I have a lot of motivation to obviously improve my training and improve as a climber and get really strong. But I've also simultaneously have been getting really motivated to take the YouTube to the next level as well. So anyway, Maddie and I have kind of like, we're trying to find a way to push the level of the channel forward. And what I'll do at the end of this episode is I'll also talk about the plan with the content going forward, because it's going to be a bit different. So if you're interested to hear what's going to be happening with the content, make sure you stay tuned for the end of the episode. But for now, we finished our first day of training at Bloc, and we're going to be jumping into the next day now. So here we are the next day for some more training at Bloc. And if you were paying attention to the calendar, you may have noticed that this session was originally scheduled as a campus session, and the idea was to just get some of the power back and feeling a little bit more bouncy and activated going into the competition this weekend. But what had happened was when I woke up this morning, I was incredibly sore, especially just because I haven't been sleeping well since we just got back from Korea. I'm just feeling extra jet lagged, and I was actually climbing pretty hard on day one. So when I woke up, I realized that if I were to do a campus session, it would probably go really badly and would probably be very painful. So I just decided to substitute it out for a regular session of bouldering, like a volume and variety session, since that way we can stick to doing some easier boulders or some boulders that aren't too intense on the grip, because my grip strength in particular was feeling really sore. So I thought I'd just go back to Bloc and do some of the boulders that I didn't get on in the first day, and also try the new set. So far, the first couple boulders that we've tried in this session are the ones that were pretty new. And this one, I think, wasn't part of the new set, but was kind of blocked off while they were setting yesterday. And yeah, there were some really good boulders in like the V9 range for me to work on that were just not physical enough for my body to handle. This one in particular actually was a super awesome comp set. This one was deceptively hard. I thought it didn't look too bad, but all of these volumes are quite shallow and difficult to stand on, especially while I'm wearing these flagships here that are pretty new. I think this is the third day that I'm climbing in them. We had like a couple sessions wearing these before we left for our month-long trip, but pretty much they're still fresh out of the box. And I'm definitely curious to climb some more in these and see how they compare to the flagship pros. Right off the bat, I'm realizing that they're probably just a little bit stiffer overall, and that's like the biggest difference I noticed between the two shoes. But yeah, it's definitely still too early, and I got to wait a little bit before I have like a fully formed opinion on the regular flagships. And then this boulder was probably my favorite from this morning session of training for sure. This one was a really nicely set slab. And on my first attempt here, you see I am trying to break the sequence a little bit. You can tell it's meant to be some sort of stand-up move, but I thought that I could press off the little foothold and just balance up on my right leg. But this boulder was set really well and didn't really allow for that. Or at least it felt extremely awkward, and I didn't feel like I could do it, so I started trying the stand-up method. And the stand-up method is really cool. You have to land the left foot really well on the higher foothold, because the right one is just bad enough that you can't really balance on it on its own. You can see if I don't land the left foot, I just bobble right off. And yeah, this move was really nice. There's a bit of a learning curve to it. And I think on this next attempt, I really unlocked the key. And so this key is going to feature today's tip of the day. So let's pay attention. You can see I fumble the attempt from the start. So I just kind of want to try the move individually. And so what we're going to watch now is going to be the first attempt where I implement this. If you'll notice, basically, today's tip of the day is going to be talking about these sort of moves where we have to stand up on a slab and land with a higher foot without losing our lower foot. So we're like still keeping 2 feet on the wall. And the trick with this move was to stop focusing on landing the left foot on the tip of my toe and actually land the foot in the ball, like kind of in the middle of my shoe. And even though it's a small foothold, I focus on landing on it sort of anywhere in the mid-range of my shoe. And the reason that this is effective is because when we're trying to be precise and land like the tip of our toe on this kind of stand-up move on the foothold, the precision involved can actually push our butt a little away from the wall and create a bit of a bobble and instability. And actually the more important point is to just land the left foot somehow so that we can stabilize with both legs and both feet and create a bit of a clamp. So by stopping, emphasizing to land the point of my toe and just sort of the mid-range of my shoe, I'm able to stick this move pretty fast. And that's today's tip of the day. So yeah, when we're doing these sort of stand-up moves on the slab, give a try or two to just landing it with the mid-range of kind of like the midsole of your shoe. Especially when the foothold is like kind of just protruding a lot like this one is. As long as you hit it with some part of your foot and just apply pressure to it, you're going to stay in that position. And yeah, that really unlocked this move for me. And then I guess I didn't mention there's like a little bit of a no hands foot swap on that boulder. And I think I kind of just had a realization on that move while I was doing it. I think I'm actually pretty good at no hands foot switching in general. I'm starting to realize that this is a strength of mine. I haven't been falling on these moves when I've been encountering them recently. I've been doing some tricky ones lately. So it's nice to kind of realize what one of my strengths is. And then anyway, we have just a little mini workout on the program for today, just to activate some muscle groups that I have not been really working out too much recently since we've been on the road traveling and also tapering because we've been in performance mode. So we just did some low reps, low sets. You can look at the program with the link in the description if you're interested to see exactly what the sets were like. But yeah, just a little light workout, not trying to break down the body too much, more so to just activate pathways that have been kind of dormant and get them feeling nice and ready and activated for the competition this weekend. And same sort of thing with our hangboard today. I wasn't trying to go too crazy heavy with the weights, with my crimps or my pinches, just trying to get like some nice try hard activated in my joints and my grip, because especially trying to get off of jet lag, it's important that we get the fingers feeling good again fast. And a great way to do that is with some low weight hangboard and pinches. So I'll do one more of these sessions before the comp this weekend. Okay, so here we are at the program breakdown. Now, there's a bit of a two-step process for what's going into revamping the training as well. So we'll start with the first step. So the first step is sort of what I touched on earlier in the episode, which is the fact that I'm really motivated to take the YouTube to the next level and start improving the content, providing new types of content and other kinds of content on a more frequent basis, because of course right now the training videos and the COMPCLIMB series is sort of the most prevalent thing on the channel, but I want to start doing more tutorials, like more educational style videos like Maddie does, as well as more vlogs. So basically this is all to say that this blue column that we can see here on our calendar, the blue days are basically content days. So anyway, the long story short is that Thursday is sort of always going to be a content day, and I'm going to film like various videos on this day, and they won't be part of the regular training series, and I won't necessarily be doing training on this day. Like for example, let's just take this day as an example. I have an idea for a vlog that we'll get to when it comes out that I'm going to film on this day, as well as like a tutorial video. And I do both of these videos in one day, and a lot of the times, like maybe the vlog that we'll be doing will act as training as well, because I'll be doing some climbing. And actually, before we start talking about the training, the last thing I need to touch on with the new content going forward is the first plan. We'll see how much I'm able to stick to this. But the first plan is that we're going to be doing one COMPCLIMB video a week. Now, that being said, I'm still going to be filming as much training as I normally do. So like usually 2 days of training is one episode of COMPCLIMB. And in a week like this, for example, we'd have 2 episodes, but I'm basically just going to take all of these training and put them into one, and that will come out once a week. So you're going to get the same amount of my training in the COMPCLIMB episodes. They're just going to be coming out once a week now. And that's because we're going to have one other day of the week be a different kind of video. So maybe a tutorial video or maybe a vlog video. Basically, we're going to alternate. So we're going to get 2 videos a week. One of them is going to be a vlog or tutorial, and then the other one is going to be the COMPCLIMB training series, and we'll still have the training going in like real time. So that's like the idea for content going forward on the channel and what you can expect. And so anyway, before we quickly touch on the training, I also want to provide some context for where we are. So like I said, after the World Cup, I actually got some cool points for the Canadian ranking, which is what we are looking at here. So you can see, I'll link this document too in the description for those who want to study it a bit more closely. But basically, World Cup in Prague, you see I get 42 points for placing 41st out of 83 competitors. And this is actually quite good. So I could talk for a long time about this Canadian ranking system and the points and whatever, but 42 points is a lot. For some other context, for winning nationals, I get just over 30 points, which is very little, if you may notice. So like I'm getting more points for this World Cup performance than I am for winning the national championship. Anyway, what this does is it bumped me from 4th to 3rd, and going into the next World Cup season, the Team Canada is getting 3 spots for the men. So right now I'm in the World Cup team position, basically. Like Oscar, Sean, and me are like the World Cup team. But obviously this ranking changes as new events happen. As you can see, when new events happen, points are added, and this can influence the rankings. But basically, the Pan Am Championships that we're going to be training for now is going to be worth a good amount of points. And so as long as I go to it and do decently, and decently is like top 8, which is pretty likely, I will get enough points to not only maintain my World Cup position, but actually probably move into 2nd. You can see here there's like 15 points separating me from 2nd place. And let's say, well, me and Maddie looked at the document. If I get like 4th or 5th at the Pan Ams, I'll be getting somewhere in the realm of 60 points, which would increase this 35 score. I would drop this 35 score, and I could potentially add up to 20 points on my score. So anyway, there's a pretty good chance I could move into 2nd. So that's why we're going to train extra hard for the Pan Ams to try and like really solidify my spot on the next World Cup season team. So yeah, that's like sort of where we're at. Like I'm higher in the rankings now, and I'm able to go to more World Cups. And also we'll do like a really quick look at the calendar. So the World Cup calendar just came out. I think there's about 6 World Cups. The first one is going to be in China, starting in April, so we got lots of time to train for it. Then the next one is going to be really interesting. It's going to be South America's first World Cup, and it's going to be taking place in Brazil. And it's actually cool. Brazil is actually like only 1 hour ahead of Montreal time, even though it's like a 14-hour flight to get there. So it actually will be kind of cool to do a World Cup on the same time zone as me. That's kind of unheard of. They're always in different parts of the world. Then after Brazil, like a week later, is Salt Lake City. I've never done a Salt Lake City World Cup, and I really, really want to. So I want to hold on to my Team Canada position so that I can hopefully go to this one. And then we got Prague, same that we had this year. And then a Boulder World Cup in Bern, Switzerland. And then a Boulder World Cup in Innsbruck, Austria. And then I think that's it for the World Cups. But then there's going to be a World Championships, as we can see here in Seoul at the very end of the year. So how many is that total? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Boulder World Cups and a World Championships. So I really, really want to hold on to my team spot so that I can do all of these events. I think it would be super awesome to get like a wide range of data and really see like what I'm capable of on the World Cup circuit. And in order to really see the kind of climber I am and my potential, I need to do the entire circuit and get enough data points. Because even just 2 World Cups that I just did, that's not even like 1 is not nearly enough to go on. I was happy enough to get 2, but even 2 is still not enough to really see what I'm capable of. And it's my new goal is to do this whole season and really find out like what I can do and train really hard and just put everything into the season. So that's the new source of motivation, basically, is to train to do the entire World Cup season. And that is going to be reflected in this new program that we're going to start. So like I touched on a little bit earlier in the episode, the biggest theme going forward with this training is going to be trying to just get me stronger. Like I need to get stronger and able to do really, really physically hard boulders, and that is the name of the game at the World Cup, and that's the biggest impression that I was sort of left with. So today's the 5th, and we're going to be doing, like I said, about 6 weeks of training for the Pan Am Championships, and I'll just highlight a few key differences from the old training and now the new training. I talked about it a little bit, but it's going to have to do with the styles of sessions. So I'm less so now, but more so like the closer we get to the World Cup season training, I'm really going to be emphasizing trying really, really hard boulders, trying not to send as many boulders, and just doing moves that are really, really hard and really, really push my limit, because that's how we're going to be gaining power, getting strength, and making sure that I'm not too weak for the World Cups going into next season. So we are going to be training more spray wall. We're going to be doing more boulder max force with less intention of sending boulders and just trying to stick a couple moves at a time. I'm going to be doing some campusing as usual. And then I also am going to, like right before comp, I'm going to be forcing myself to do more 5-minute mock comp simulations, because I skipped a lot of those before the last couple World Cups that we did, and I think it showed. I need to practice my tactics a bit more. So you can see in this last week of training, like right before the Pan Ams, we're going to be doing like a 5-minute simulation every day to really get the tactics well practiced and fresh. And then another big element of training that's going to switch up is I'm going to be doing even more hangboard. I'm actually going to be doing 4 different kinds of grip training. I'm going to be doing 1-arm hangs on the small beastmaker edge and 1-arm 3-finger drag, 2 exercises that I've never done before. And I've done 1-arm hangs, but I have never done them on the small beastmaker edge. And this is a key difference, I think. And I'm going to be, even though I actually can't hang the small beastmaker edge with one hand, I'm going to be using a resistance band, which I've never actually done for hangboard training, but I've done for 1-arm pull-up training when I was younger and found some great success with it. So I'm going to try resistance band 1-arm training for these 2 hangs. And I think that can really help me push my absolute limit when it comes to hangboard and actually gain some finger strength, because it's been a while since I've really tried to push my finger strength. And I think I need to experiment a bit with it. And then I'm also going to be training 1-arm hangs on the Beastmaker middle slopes, which is also something I've never done. And we'll be doing our usual pinch block. For the workouts, it's nothing too complicated. We'll just add in a couple exercises that I haven't done in a while, such as 1-arm pull-ups, and all these exercises we'll do with weight. And yeah, so this is basically like the legend for all of the training that we're going to be doing. And then you can look at it here in the calendar and see how it's all scheduled out and like what reps we're going to be doing, how long the duration for each session is going to be. And yeah, this document is always linked in the description as a PDF if you want to study the training program and look at it a bit yourself. But yeah, that's sort of the gist of the training. Lots of strength training. We're going to be really trying to push our physical limit, new hangboard stuff, a little bit of new workout stuff. I'm going to force myself to do more 5-minute simulations. And the intention of our bouldering sessions is going to be like very deliberate with what we're actually doing. We're going to make time for the volume and the variety stuff. That's really good for training movement and instincts. But I'm also going to be forcing myself to really get on moves that are at my maximum physical limit. So that wraps up our training breakdown, and we're going to start experimenting and training hard for the Pan Am Championships. Hopefully do really well at that and secure our spot on the Canadian team so we can do the entire World Cup season next year. And for anybody who's still watching at the end of this long-ass episode, you're a real one. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm really psyched to start this new phase of training going into next year.